this is not the way that we've been talking about this the last few days.
What's not?
This defensive, combative energy. The way we've been talking about it the last few days has really been like, wow.
Well, when we've been talking about the last few days, the
serendipitous.
heat has been on. So I will say that I'm very cold right now, and I don't know if it's coming out in my tone.
Do you want a blanket or a robe or a shawl, jacket, hoodie?
I would love to get a hoodie. I have one behind you hanging up. This episode of Dear Jessamyn has profanity, sex talk, weed smoking, and a bunch of other shit that's just not for everybody. You also may not agree with the stuff we say or how we say it, and we think that's great. We promote cannabis medicine to people over 21. If you're not 21, come back when you are.
What I want to do to myself is selfish in the best way.
How's it going?
It's going okay. It's been sort of a wild 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord. Yeah, it has been a very interesting 24 hours for sure. But It's been, I think we recorded last Wednesday night when I came back from New York, right before you went to California.
Right.
And I feel like we left on a little bit of a cliffhanger because I feel like we left with you going to California kind of.
I knew I was going to go to California.
Abruptly, yeah. Like you bought your plane ticket already and you were leaving the next day.
And we were recording. I wonder what we said. I have absolutely no recollection.
I know, literally. And I love that
So
about
much
it,
has
to be
happened
honest.
since.
So much has happened since then. It's like a lifetime has happened.
I went to California to see my lover.
Mm-hmm.
For meet her for the first time in person. We'd been internet dating for a few months. And like, I think a lot of people would like just not do that or wait until like, the fact is we're going to be in California, you and me, fairly soon. Could have waited for that. Didn't. I just didn't really want to anymore. There was a lot of things that went into the decision to go and to go so quickly. But that's what I did. And I'm sure we'll get into what happened there.
What are you
Just
inviting in?
Going rogue because we're recording at night.
Yeah.
I'm inviting a mug to have some of this wine that you made.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not give me a mug intentionally?
You said that you're not really that into mulled wine, and I thought that I'd be forcing the issue if I put a mug down for you, so I thought I'd wait.
Does that feel like a microcosm of more stuff that's happening to us?
Yeah,
right now?
I mean, it was happening during a moment where I was feeling very hurt by you, and so, like, I'm sure that also factored into my decision.
Should we start there? No.
It's an interesting place to start. I feel like
Memento. You start at the end and you're back, no?
Oh, I guess. I mean, you were on the phone with your lover and you had just been upset with me because I was on Marco Polo, rewatching a polo from someone that I've been flirting with. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was really hypocritical and it hurt my feelings, the hypocrisy. And I was frustrated and I knew I was going to get over it because it was also deeply circumstantial. Mm. And I was just rolling up the weed and getting the mug out, as it turned out. Because you told me right before I went to heat up the wine that you have never really been into mulled wine. And so maybe don't make as much, don't make so much for you. And I knew I was still going to make some for you, and I knew I was going to put it in the thermos, so I knew that it would stay warm. And I knew that you'd still be able to get a mug, so I just didn't want to bring one down for you.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling fine. I mean, I'm feeling a lot of different emotions.
Betrayal.
It's more complicated than betrayal, I think. I wish it was as simple as betrayal. I'm feeling like I'm being called to really account for and live into my values. And this whole, from last Wednesday to today, it's just been one situation after another to everything that we talk about on this show, about being polyamorous and radical honesty and looking within yourself for the answers. I'm doing all of that. You know, it's something to pass the time. I felt really good about us at different points over the last few days. And I've also felt really devastated by us. And do you want to go into more detail?
Well, you said it. So I can't really detail what you're saying. But you know that I've felt something similar. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel devastated by us, but I do feel like, and you, maybe like an hour ago, were reading our pattern on the app, The Pattern, that loves to, I feel like it trolls me. I feel like it like makes fun of the fact that I, A, don't know how to use it, and B, tried to pull it up and was logged out today. I feel like it's constantly trolling me. But also just the things it says are kind of like, whoa, why don't you calm down? But you were reading from our pattern, our shared pattern, like the bond that they run or whatever, that this is a time of great change and transition. And that like, if you are in a relationship with me, that it might be a time that is evolving. Which, like, what I hear is like, I mean, yeah, our relationship is always evolving, and in some moments in bigger ways than others, or more impactful ways than others. And that's definitely how I feel, what I feel about right now. I think anytime a person in a two-person relationship starts dating another person, four person, if you're really using like my metamour math, you know, we're already in a relationship with your other partner and their girlfriend. So if you add to that pile, you know, in terms of like who is emotionally wrapped up in and accountable to the love that is shared here, you know.
If you add the metamours to the pile, what happens?
You and me fight. No, I don't know. I just feel like we've been in a constant sort of building conflict for like maybe a month around me dating this person. Oh, what I was saying is, any time somebody brings in another person, it's going to change stuff. Like it's going to evolve the relationship. And you and I were talking today. I mean, we've been talking a lot since I got back. 4 days ago, whatever. It's been a few days that I've been back. We had Thanksgiving in between then and now, me getting back and now. And I'm scattered, obviously, but the point is that it's going to change. It's going to evolve. So I'm not like, wow, the pattern, how could you have come up with something like our relationship is evolving? Like, yeah, it is. But I think what you hear is that we should break up or that we're going to break up. And I just don't think that's a great state to make decisions from anyhow. So even if you think we should break up, why don't you wait until you don't feel that way?
That's what the pattern is saying too. They're like, don't make any dramatic decisions right now.
But you want to break up.
I think you want to break up, but I think you don't want me to go anywhere just in case something goes wrong. Like something doesn't work out with this other person that you're seeing, or that you renege on the idea that you should be focused on yourself, and that you decide maybe I shouldn't be focused on myself. So I'll keep Jessamyn in this relationship around just in case.
Sucks to feel that way, I bet.
I mean, the interesting thing is that I don't feel that way about it. Like, I feel more interested in you and closer to you, and like we're having a deeper connection than we ever have. Like, same. I feel really thrilled by our relationship. It's really hot and interesting to me, and I think it's great. And I actually think it is great because of this, your lover. I think that she brings a lot to the table that balances where we have been. But I also think that our relationship is familiar and an old pattern, and that maybe it's time for us to stop doing it.
What is the drastic, like, oh my God, it's like, do you want to have broccoli or do you never want to eat food again your whole fucking life? And I'm like, whoa, kale is an option. We have a green bean.
Well, what do you think? You be here fighting with me, boxing with me every week.
Because I love you and I want you.
I know. Literally.
You think I'd box with you? You said today, you were like, it does give me solace to know that like Aries would just leave.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm trying to just like be slow and steady and hear that you have fears and just be here. I told you, I texted you from California. Like, the cool thing about knowing that I want you and that what I'm doing isn't changing that is that you don't actually even have to believe it. You just have to watch. Not, you know, me not going anywhere is going to be indicated by the fact that I don't go anywhere. So I think too, like, and in that same vein, like it's like hard to even want to explain more. I know that we are currently recording a podcast, which requires verbalization of ideas, but, you know, for that purpose, I'll say, you know, I pick people who are in cahoots with that desire I have to like add to this relationship, not subtract from this relationship. And, you know, every person I've brought in, with the exception of the person I would say that we ended up on an acid trip with. Because I don't know that that was like, I guess I wasn't thinking of it like bringing somebody into our sexual relationship.
I wasn't either.
But, but I'm still on the board. I did bring that person in and did occur that it was sexual. But otherwise.
We've had quite a year.
Yeah, it's been a year. 32 is my golden year. I wonder if
your golden year. I've
been saying recently everything that I want, I'm having, I'm getting, it's coming to me, and I wonder if that's God just like giving me a sweet dessert before death. Is it too good to be true? No. Anyway, God doesn't do that. The point is,
I think that all the time.
You're like, it's too good, I'm gonna die.
Literally. I'll be like, so is it over now?
Well, I did some acknowledging recently that I've never watched my partner fall in love unless I was done being in love with them. And yeah, I wonder how it's been for other partners you've been with. I wonder how it's been for partners I've been with to watch somebody fall in love, you know, and like not be interested in that happening. Or being scared, I guess, of that happening, what the implications of that happening are. So I both want to stand in that and stand in the knowledge that like my choices are based on desire that I have for our relationship to succeed also. And whether that's direct, like I want to fuck other people so that I'm not resenting you for sex that we don't have, or yeah, I mean, what always is like strikes me in moments like this when we're, you and I, two polyamorous adult humans, one with a decade-long relationship currently in place, not me. I just feel like we're poly.
Yeah.
We date other people.
Yeah.
And it feels so wild because I think that like, I'll speak for myself because this is the first relationship I've been in that I'm still here for it after years and years.
Yes.
And like,
I think that would make a lot of this easier for me. It would be so much easier.
As if you weren't trying to get up in this pussy. Just wanted to say it that way so you would feel good about it.
Damn it. More so than I ever have. I don't even understand how. But more so than I ever have been, I am trying to get up in that pussy for real. All day. And have been for many of the days since you've been home.
Oh my God. Can I tell you how sore I am? I'm sitting right now experiencing that I was like, man, I don't have enough sex.
Literally.
More sex. And then like for the past 8 days in a row, I feel like I've been certified freak.
Days a week, literally. Cardi's like, yep.
Yeah, that bitch knows what I'm talking about.
She knows. She's like, that's what I'm talking about.
So when I was talking about that, yes,
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that you're very sore. It's a good thing you like to get filled up.
So we're gonna move on.
You said it.
No, I did. We are going to move on, but we're not really going to move on, but we're going to stop talking about that specifically. I would like for that to be true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, I just feel like we've had a lot go on, a lot come
Yeah.
up in the last, I would say in the last 2-3 days. We've talked about
Yeah.
so much, so expansive, the way that we've communicated. We've gone in many directions. The direction of like talking about the ways that we could make it easier on us to break up, talking about the reasons that we would never, why would we, how could we, who's trying to do that, that's ridiculous. But I think we've been really loving and really just and really kind and like freedom focused, you know, which to me just means like I don't want to encumber or hinder or imprison you in anything. And I know you don't want that either, but it is like, what is the right, like you talk about not wanting rules and those being just like opportunities to lie to each other, you know, mid-sentence drag. And I think about what is an agreement or set of agreements that is sturdy enough to offer structure, but that's not rigid enough to like make you want to rebel against it, you know. And I said to you at one point, and part of me is just like, oh, that's a silly thing to say, but I was just like, in these conversations, like, can we just establish this as home base, and that like we're down for each other, we're just going to come back to this, and everything else that we do is going to be really important and really powerful and hopefully change our life. That's the whole point of living, I think. But that like this isn't changing because of that exploration. And this might change in the sense that like we may end up somewhere, and it may not be the same place that we end up for a time or whatever, but that we're still going for this whole thing based on you and me and Baby Shark being family and this being our home. And when I said it, when we talked about it and like agreed to it, it was like a very sweet and tender time. And it makes sense to me and occurs to me that that's a hard thing to like maintain faith in or something, especially if you have like a doubting heart. One has a suspicious water sign placement.
Your lover is inviting you into her life in a way that feels like a different type of dynamic and structure than the family that you and I have been building.
She does live in a different family structure than you and I have. That's true.
But it makes me feel insecure about our family because it's something that exists just between us. And I guess that means logically that I need to turn back to what I know is true and be present to like we're here together now, you know, like we do spend our time together and our life together.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like all of this has adjusted our lives in a lot of ways. Like your interest in her and in being near her means that we are heading to California faster than we were planning to before, specifically to the area that she lives in. And I'm cool with it because it's like, you know, why not? There's no reason not to. But it is different from what we discussed initially. And it's not something that, it's not like we have to keep doing what we said we were going to do before, but we also said we were going to be doing this together.
We are doing this together. What I've said to you time and again about that particular part is like, the adventure was always going to be where we were called. Right?
Yeah. I feel like you're like gearing up to disagree with what I just said. And like, I agree. We're going where we're called. I feel you. I'm not trying to disagree with you.
I didn't say anything yet.
Okay, sorry. Please.
It's okay. I'm just way more interested in like how you're feeling and what's coming up for you than like splitting hairs about when we were gonna arrive in California and why, you know.
Okay.
You seem angry. You seem maybe hurt and protective of yourself.
You seem angry.
Sometimes there's this thing that happens with us where well, specifically in this instance, if I'm talking about my lover and you'll like chime in with like, an assessment that you've made. And sometimes you'll make it sound like, well, what I heard you say was you aren't interested in being my partner anymore, but you just want to like go hang out with this person. And I'm like, I never said, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. And you'll be like inserting your fears or something as opposed to like what I said. And it felt like the way that you were saying she's inviting me to be in her life is like an exaggeration of what she and I have talked about. And, you know, we've done this with each other. Like, I think it's along the same lines of when you've had crushes, people you're talking to in the past, I've like over-involved myself in a way that's like, I'll say, oh, it's like this, or it's this thing, or this is what you're doing, or whatever. This is whatever you want to be doing. And you're like, that's not at all what I said. That's not what I want. That's not what I want to be doing. But part of it is like it inserted me, like it inserts me into your dynamic with that other person, you know? And like, even if you have to like defend it or say like correct it or whatever, it's like I've done my job of making me a part of this narrative, like putting me in the story. Like one time you got a Marco Polo from somebody you were having a crush on. And it was a Friday night. God, I remember it like it was yesterday. And I know that because we started drinking and you fell asleep at like 9 p.m. And I found myself very awake until like 1, 2, 3 a.m. And this person was just like poloing you. And I was like angry. And I blame it a little bit on the alcohol. I think that like, I've always said that when the things you do when you're drunk are things you would have wanted to do anyway. But I just like deleted a polo.
Oh, that's right.
Out of like spite. And I told you about it the next morning when we got up. And I felt so bad. I was just like, why did I do that? Like, it's so horrible. I was just feeling so jealous and angry and like scared.
So this decision to delete the polo is literally why I was upset earlier tonight.
Go on.
Because earlier you were like, I was listening to a polo from this person and the only reason that I even was trying it out is because you have been pretty consistently like on the phone with or on Marco Polo with or looking at pictures of or looking at videos of your lover since you got back from California. Like, so I'm like thinking about how I don't do that. And it comes from, I have a lot of different reasons for it.
You say you don't do it, but I do?
Yeah. And I'm like, why do I not do that? And I do think that, like, you talked about doing it because it feels like you're like living into your truth. It's like, this is what you know.
I think this has all just evolved a lot in the last chunk of time. And it has a lot to do with both of us trying new things. And so the way you're like, you just look at pictures of her all the time. I'm like, whoa. No, that's not true. I showed you some pictures from my trip and then I made a video, which, whatever. So I was engaging with media about her and her family, but
I don't think you notice how much you talk about her or want to look at her.
No, I've started to notice and you've asked me to notice and I've been noticing more. But I'm also like, do you want to know about me? Because when I'm not talking about her, I'm pretty silent.
Okay, but what I was saying just now is that you do this and I don't have an issue with it. Ultimately, like, it is difficult for me, but it's an opportunity for me to live into my values. Like, I want to be living in a world where my partner can be talking to someone and I am not, it does not shake my whole world down. And it does. And it's coming from a lack of security within myself. And I can see that and I can notice that. And I don't do a great job of that all the time. I think I do a pretty mediocre to bad job, but I'm working on it. I'm practicing it. And on the flip side of that, it's like, why am I part of why I'm upset is because I don't do that. Because I'm like, I don't look at pictures of the person, talk about them constantly, try to communicate with them, especially while I'm communicating with my partner.
That's not even true, Jessamyn. That's not even true.
What's not true?
You don't listen to playlists from your ex. You don't live in the same house with me and your other partner. You don't share when some people send you extremely explicit nudes of themselves on the internet. Like, you do in front of me talk about, look at, engage with, acknowledge the existence of all these different relationships that you're engaging in. And you're saying that in the last 4 days, since I have photos to engage with from this person who I just saw, who I'm really excited about, who's on my mind, that like you're over it because what? I mean, the last 3 years don't count. Like, we're only counting from when I met her.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't agree with what you're saying. I think that new relationship energy and a stranger sending me nudes that I'm telling you about, like, wow, this is crazy. I've never talked to this girl before in my life. And now she's sending me all these naked pictures. Let's look at them together. Let's talk about this conversation I'm having. That feels really different than like, I am in brand new relationship energy and I am shining that light hard. That feels like two different things to me. But I get that it on the surface is the same, and I'll let you, I feel you.
You're really leaving out the context of how many conversations you and I have had, how long and fiercely we have fought to have the kind of communication with one another where we share about our truth.
I agree. This is what I'm saying. Literally, this is all I was trying to say in bringing this up. I'm not bringing you to task for anything. I'm saying that I think your way of going about it makes sense. And I'm questioning within myself, let me just get it all out.
Jeez, come on, just do it. I was stopping myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get it that you don't believe that interrupting can come from any other place than being rude. I got it.
I don't think that.
Okay.
I think that doing what you would have done otherwise anyway is perfect. And I want to be doing that more. And so I was trying to practice doing that more earlier this evening. And you told me that you asked me if I could, you said that it was cool initially.
You said, I'm going to look at these. I'm trying to give context for the show.
Please. Yeah.
You said, you said, I'm going to look at these messages. And you were telling me in this really pointed way. I was getting set up for this show that we're on now. And so I was going to be in the space, and you were going to just be sitting on the bed looking at these messages, looking at and listening to these messages, no headphones. Well, you didn't say that, but it became true. And so I'm like trying to get set up, whatever. I'm like not super interested in hearing it right now. I was also feeling really close to you. We were really bonding and really connecting. And I can see a world in which you felt like doing that in front of me felt like connective.
Yeah.
But I was like, I felt a little whiplashed from being in a space where you and I were connecting about our lives to you being like, I just want to like gaze at and enjoy the look of this person communicating with me. I'm like, great. I definitely want that. I don't want to listen to it. And so I put my headphones on. I was listening to music, and I was just like watching you like react to this person in a way that I was like, why are you facing me? Not only are you facing me head on, but the phone somehow is also facing me. How are you looking at the phone? It's facing me and you're facing me. How did that even work out? When do you ever sit like that on the bed? Like, why are you trying to show this to me? Like, are you doing something intent? And I was just like, I don't even need to be in my head about this. I can just try and do something else. And so then my phone was charging for this show that we're on. And I was like wishing I could change the music. And then I didn't want to come over there and be around you and look at what you were doing. And so I was just having such a like dizzying experience of it that I was just like, can you put on headphones or go in the car, which is what we usually do when we're talking to somebody, when we want privacy on the phone. One of us will go in the car. And I was just like, I want you to feel free too. I'm just like, why am I looking at it and listening to it? On the note of like insensitive, which you called me later. And I just asked you if you could do that, and you just stopped looking at it altogether, which I kind of feel like you went outside just to look at it more. I could be wrong. It's fine. It's good. All I wanted was to not have to look at it. Did you go outside and look at it more?
Because I was outside, I did look at it more. Yeah.
So I'm just like, I just think that us having big feelings about the other one engaging with somebody else is a setup for failure. I know when you're out there doing it, if I want to have feelings, that's really on me. The only thing I feel like I can bring to you is like, I can't get my work done right now because I'm so distracted by what's happening, you know? Or I don't feel like I can be in the space because I stepped outside because you said, I'm just going to listen to this last polo. And I had a sense of how long it was. And I stayed outside as long as I thought that polo was. And then I came in and you scrolled back to many more polos from many days ago to also look at and think about and be excited about. And all I heard was this person sort of gushing over like you, which is great. They should. And I was like, can we not? Can you just headphones? I mean, I really just wanted you to if you had put on headphones, I could have like focused. I wasn't asking you not to do it or not to do it in here. And I think that like, it's a big, you have to notice, especially with this person, but also in general, you'll do a thing where you're like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And then you'll come out of the bathroom and be like, if I want to have phone sex with this person, I'm gonna. And I'm like, okay. And you also do a very abrupt thing where you're like, I just realized that I'm free. Fuck you. And I'm like, great. Love it. It doesn't always feel good to receive it that way. You know what I mean? You're rolling your eyes. You're upset about what I'm saying. What's happening?
I'm receiving you, and I have lots of facial expressions.
What do you think?
Wow, too much to summarize, honestly, but I feel like
maybe I should finish the little timeline though.
Sure. Just to round that out.
Also, if that's better. Do you prefer?
No, I was just going to respond to what you were saying. You said, I feel like I never got my whole thought out from before. I was just saying that I think that the hypocrisy was the only thing that bothered me. That you, like, I've been in here in the space when you are having very difficult to hear conversations with your lover. It's really hard for me. And I probably have never even said it like that. So you didn't even know. I feel you. Headphones, yes. I think that headphones are not going to protect you from hearing it's not going to protect me from hearing what you're saying and vice versa. It was only because of you having such a strong reaction to what I was doing and then proceeding to do, in my view, a more intense version of what I was doing, but nonetheless some version of it. That was hard for me and frustrating. And I think that if I had just come back in and you were just on the phone with her, it would have been like every other time that you've been on the phone with her, where like it is difficult, but I'm not like surprised by it. And at the time anyway, it did feel retaliatory because it felt like you had maybe seen me on Marco Polo, looking outside, looking at the messages, or you felt like, well, if Jessamyn's going to be doing that, then I'm going to be doing this.
Okay. It's the update.
What are you thinking and feeling?
Like a whole bunch of shit that I want to be like, no, because this. You can have your perception. It can be your perception. It doesn't have to matter to me, you know? And I think the further it gets away from my reality, the harder it is to be like, we're on the same page, because we're not. So that sucks. Doesn't feel good. I fucking hate that this just happened, because literally right before the reason you went outside, the whole point was that the reason I set this fucking mic up is because we were having these really expansive and amazing and abundant conversations. And I was like, yeah, we've been talking about all these really amazing things. Like, I think we should just record the show. Like, I don't want to miss the opportunity to like get some of this down, because like this is the journal of our lives. And then anytime the mics come out, we just start fighting. It makes no sense to me, and I fucking hate it. The timeline to finish was you went outside to make mulled wine. I received a text from my person right then, maybe a minute or two before, saying she stole away some time. She's with family for Thanksgiving, and so she's occupied. Like her time isn't just hers. She has to make decisions with other people, and so our timeline has not added up at all. She's been available and I haven't. I've been, you know what I'm saying? So she was like, I have 2 minutes. She went outside to smoke weed. And I was like, great, it's perfect, because you're outside for 2 minutes. I'm setting up the things, and then we're going to get ready to record. Mm-hmm. And so I was on the phone when you got back in. And, it's never easy to be around family. Like, there's shits coming up. And so I couldn't time that super duper well. She was talking about things that were important, and I didn't want to be like, hey, that sounds important, let's talk another time that we don't know when that's going to be in the next several days. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like letting it happen, because you and I live together and have been talking for like 72 hours straight, so I figured there would be a little grace there. And I also knew that there might not be, but it can't be, my decision can't be about whether or not you're going to feel okay with what I've decided.
That's true.
And I understand that it feels hypocritical in that you were trying to have sweet time with somebody in this space, and I didn't want to be a part of it. And then you came in, probably didn't want to be a part of what I was doing. But I really do resent the implication that I've never spoken with her in the house without asking you first. This was the first time you walked in on me being on the phone with her and you not knowing ahead of time. So I would just like to maybe push back on the narrative that I'm like out here just being like, you're going to shut the fuck up and listen to me talk to this woman,
Okay. I mean, I think that we're learning a lot about what it means to be in a relationship, what it means to be in partnership, and are actually having to test the boundaries of polyamory and like what it means and why, and like what's the real purpose? Like, why keep choosing each other? Why? We could just break up now, literally.
Is that not what you're doing?
I mean, I don't get why, but maybe I will get why. Maybe it will become like abundantly clear why. I don't have an issue with you having a new girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's always gonna be hard for me, or maybe it won't always be. That would be such a relief. That would be such a relief if that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. But up to this point, it has historically been difficult for me, and it seems like you have difficulty with me being involved with other people.
I have difficulty with it having to be such a fucking hard piece of shit experience. Like I feel like I did everything that I could to like expand my ideas of compersion, how to be on this journey with you. And I was like, literally, I'm distracted from doing my work because I'm like trying to listen in on, what you're doing and having this stream of consciousness around, or this whatever brain journey around why you're showing me in this way, and you won't just talk to me about it, or like why you feel like I want to like listen and see all of these things over and over again, And so I feel
like. Are you talking about on the bed earlier?
Yes.
Okay. So on the topic of expansive, we've been having such expansive conversations about our feelings for these other people. And you've been talking to me about your feelings for your lover. I've been talking to you about my feelings about this person. Like, it's been really, really healing and pleasant for me.
Did you tell that person I was out of town? Or did you ever say while I was out of town anything about me being out of town? Did you talk about me at all? Did you say anything about
Yeah.
Fro?
Yeah, I did. That really long message. I said that I was explaining why I had time to talk.
Gotcha.
Because that was the thing that, to what I was saying earlier, I don't generally like to talk to someone that I'm flirting with while I'm with my partner, because I feel like I want to give both people my full attention. And it's really hard for me to give anyone my full attention. And I think that like, just to like receive it, I'm not great at doing more than one thing at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just trying to know that. And not that, because I say that because I don't think everybody needs to do that. Like, I think that if you are good to have multiple conversations with multiple people at once, like, do that, please.
Mm-hmm.
It's my responsibility then to like check in on if I have feelings that come up because of it, like where those feelings come from. Like I see that Ashe is texting her lover in bed. Okay, sure. Like, I have my feelings about that. Where are those feelings coming from? Like, it doesn't have to be this thing of like, well, I would never do that. So like, that's something, I can't believe that she would do that. Cause like, I'll think like that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, well, that's the rule that I have. So I don't know what the fuck's wrong with her that she can't abide by this rule. It's not your rule. You don't have the same feelings about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's fine.
I just don't. I think there's, again, like God, I don't know what it is about. Sometimes you will just repeat your reality or like a story, and I'll just be like, wait a second, did you just call me you know what I mean? I'll be like, you really did just slip in. I think what you're slipping in that's hard for me right now is like the idea that I'm just out here doing anything. Like, I don't even care how you feel. I don't even think about you. Like, it has nothing
That
to
is
do
how
with
it feels
you.
sometimes to me.
Jessamyn Olivia Stanley. I learned it from watching you.
I know.
What the fuck
That's
are you
what's so
talking
fucked up
about? Is that the
it.
entire
Oh, so
time that we
annoying.
lived in a house, you were like, don't come for me. Don't ever ask me what I'm doing. Don't ask me what's on my phone.
You told
Do
me
not
something that
tell
I
me
said.
anything about my house.
You
Don't come anywhere
reminded
near me.
of
Don't come in
something
my
that
car.
I said the other day. And I can't even remember. No, it was the thing about I should be able to be masturbating on the phone with this person. That comment.
Out of nowhere. I didn't do
it was
anything.
not out of
yes,
nowhere.
It was. It was out of, I was lying on our bed. You went in the bathroom to do your morning thing. I was still lying on our bed when we came out. And you came with, it was like the door flew open with your energy. Don't.
The story is getting so detailed. I think that's what happened. I feel like I was sitting right here actually when I said it.
Whoa, Jessamyn, come on. You don't think it had an impact on me and that I remembered experiencing it? I feel like I remember experiencing it. What?
I'm just saying. Maybe it's
Maybelline?
exactly. No, I think about some of the things that I've said, and I've absolutely created an environment where it's like, wow, it's violent, like blood. Wow, oh, it's intense.
The other thing is that infamous time that you had a whole night long texting this person in the bed long before you told me it was totally inappropriate for me to but you said we're not doing anything. We're not in a relationship, so it's different because we're not in a relationship. I'm like, seems like a relationship to me. You're the last people you think about at the end of the day and the first people you think about in the morning. So
who are you talking about? You talking about you're throwing multiple things together.
You're right, my bad. That's the other person that we've been talking about. I apologize.
Okay.
That you're texting in bed, but you're not in a relationship, so it's not the same. Got it.
That person is not trying to get with me.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is like you said. The point was energy. What kind of energy are you sending?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that? I mean,
I will say
we
that
literally have it on a
say,
podcast that I could just bring up for you and really just play back for you.
I will say that this person that we've been talking about, I have said in the past that I've gotten away by saying that it's not what it looks like, because this person and I are not being candid with one another about our emotions. There's a lot that is in the shadows, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's deeply flirtatious, but nobody has said that they feel one way or the other. Yeah. And so it's just all left up to interpretation. And so
every day on text and or Marco Polo.
It's not every day.
For a year.
It's not every day. It's literally not.
It's been every day since I've been gone. It's been every day for the last week. The exception of the day of Thanksgiving, which makes sense. But even that is telling to me. It doesn't matter. The point isn't, am I catching you in something?
It's not every day.
You have been interested in this person in a way that the energy, if nothing else, has been noticeable and shifty.
I have been more
shifting.
open to it since you have been
dating this person.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all of that makes sense, but I don't want any of us to forget that
Mock trial.
You're coming out of the bathroom with a largeness to declare thoroughly.
This is so fucked up. This retelling.
The queen has a declaration. You got it. If I want to masturbate,
what did I say? No, say the line how I said it. What
you
I say?
said, if I want to be fucking myself, I can't say the whole thing.
Yeah, don't say the whole thing.
It was graphic. It was
Said something like, if I want to be fucking myself while I'm texting this person or while I'm on Marco Polo with this person, I can do that.
That's my business, and yeah, and you shouldn't, and I shouldn't. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have anything to say about her. Yeah, and I was like, heard, noted. I appreciate your direct. Please be direct at all times. That was also like so interesting today. So interesting you say that, because today, maybe it was the same day. It might have been like a day or two apart, front or back. This interesting person DM'd me for the very first time, and I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, that exact same day is the day that you started talking to
my lover. That's true. So I don't want to let go of the idea that like I wasn't really open to anybody. People have DM'd. You've seen. I show you everything because I think it's interesting, and because everybody out there, beware. If you send it to me, Jessamyn's eyes only and mine. But like, I'm just saying that's just how I'm in partnership. I'm
just saying.
Anyway, so people have shot their shot, and I've been like, oh, that's so nice. I feel so flattered,
Remember that time somebody DM'd me and you ID'd them as a Trump supporter? Or wait, remember? Yeah. Anyway, we can come back to it.
I do remember that. But then you came out and you were hypothetically masturbating this person on Marco Polo, and I was like, can I at least just chit chat with this cute girl who's like interested in my healing with me? Cool. We just continue to not be on the same page, which is a little bit scary and a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, maybe we're not meant to be on the same page. Maybe we are not meant to be together.
That's one way to not work on it.
You think we should get on the same page?
I think that you are. This is not the way that we've been talking about this the last few days.
What's not?
This defensive, combative energy. The way we've been talking about it the last few days has really been like, wow.
Well, when we've been talking about the last few days, the heat has been on. So I will say that I'm very cold right now, and I don't know if it's coming out in my tone.
Do you want a blanket or a robe or a shawl, jacket, hoodie?
I would love to get a hoodie. I have one behind you hanging up.
Oh my gosh.
I don't feel defensive, honestly. Thank you.
You seem very closed, where you've been really soft defensive. And open. Yeah, you just came in and like, I knew I was in trouble because I was on the phone and I felt 14.
Yeah, but right before that, when you're like, can you just like put on headphones, please? And I'm like,
I didn't say it like that.
That's how it sounded to me.
I'm gathering that from your retelling.
Like, and then I come in and you're just like, you're on my chair also. Like, literally, I was like, can I sit down? Like, I'm not that hung up about it. I don't care. I get what happened. I even, like, I've said, I think maybe you don't want to be on the same page.
Why do you think that?
I think you're over it.
You think I'm over this relationship?
Yeah. I think you don't want to be, maybe, or something.
Why do you think I'm over the relationship? And why would you know more than me? Could be. I don't know it. I don't experience it that way. So if you know it and I don't, I'm confused how that's possible. You know?
I don't know.
You think I'm over the relationship. I think are you scared that I'm over the, I mean, like, I haven't said that. I don't feel like I'm indicating that. I'm here. We're doing this. We've had extremely connective time. The last few days, extremely connected, very intimate, a lot of like sex stuff together, learning, growing, expanding, a lot of conversations, communications, like trying new things. Like you try it, it's only because the domino effect of what happened right after it. But like I'm in a space now where I really want to say how honored I am that you want to share that stuff with me, that you want me to be a part of it with you, that you want to talk to me about it. Like that all means a great deal to me. And I was like feeling certainly like, because my lover has been less available, that I'm like kind of missing just getting to chit chat with her. Totally. So I'm like, I don't want to hear your person. I want to hear my person. And so, yeah, there's stuff like that going on, but like, I really wasn't trying to like exile you or tell you to stop looking at it or any of that. I was just like finding myself distracted by it and not preferring it. And if you would come, that's the thing, is when you came in, I was like, fuck, I should get off the phone. I was thinking about all of this. I was thinking about you feeling like it's retaliatory. I was thinking about all of it. And I was like, Ashe, live your life. She went outside and lived her life. Literally. You're in here living yours. Literally. Just live your fucking life. And like, this is the stuff that I don't want to stop doing and then resent you for. Literally. So I was weighing all that while also trying to be on the phone with somebody who's telling me about real stuff that's happening in her life. And I want to be present on the note of being present in the conversations you're in. But I also knew that she only had like 2 minutes to talk. And so I wanted those 2 minutes. So it's not, I get that it's not easy. I was getting that in real time. I was not trying to hurt you at all.
I know you weren't. I didn't think that you were.
Fine. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I knew you weren't. I
hate this idea. I mean, I told you today that like, I do have this really intense pattern of spending years trying to convince a woman that she should love me as much as I love her. And by the time she is excited to commit to a relationship with me, I am over it by then. And like, I think that, there were like big times in our life, in our relationship together, that I was clear that the way I was expressing my interest in us and the way you were expressing your interest in us felt not the same amount. And like, I don't know why that feels okay with me, or like why I keep like investing big into relationships that are like sort of lukewarm about me or feel that way. But like, as I'm like thinking about that pattern and like weighing it, like I recognize big differences in what those relationships were doing by the time the person was like, yeah, no, I'm into this. I like this. I want to say it out loud, By then, with those folks, I'd already been planning an escape route, And like with you, I feel more invested than I ever have. That's a big one. I wasn't having sex with most of those people by the end of our relationship. Definitely having a lot of daily sex with you. Feels great. What else? We live in as small of a space as I've ever lived in my life. By myself, let alone with another person and a chihuahua. And still like that. Still really into our house and our space. Still, I'm digging the systems. I cook outside and I take calls in my car. None of that is a problem for me. Like, I'm not over this. I don't want this to be different. I don't want this to end or change. I do feel very clear that what I want, which may not be what I get or what we choose, but what I want would be to take our home and my family to a place I can be close to her also. I would love that. Absolutely. Somebody would be lying if they lived the way we live and didn't think, wow, wouldn't it be neat if we went to the place that person is together and we can all be together and we can be close to all this work shit you have to do, including Yoke being the San Francisco Public Library's book of the month in February?
It's going to be the book for the city of San Francisco or something for the month of February. That's fucking crazy.
Don't you want to be near San Francisco?
I didn't even know that could be an option. And literally,
that's why we live in a fucking RV.
Literally.
I just hate all this binary bullshit. I'm like, it's not even what you believe in that I'm falling in love with somebody and so I probably don't like you. I'm literally, what I said to you today that seemed to resonate was like, you never stopped being in love with your other partner as you started falling in love with me. If anything, it made you closer to them and you know it for a fact. Mm-hmm. And so like, apply the same logic. Like, yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. It's cool that I feel like somebody gets me in this way that most people don't. And it's a deep, deep way. And that is all very, very cool. And I really like it. And I want to be excited about it. And I share with you the way a best friend shares with their best friend. And you share with me that way too. And I know that it's more complicated than just that. But that's part of it, is that we are equipped for that. We're built for that. You know, I'm constantly thinking about that meme that says, polyamorists, the workaholics of the heart. I'm just like, yeah. You know, like, yeah, we are. And that just means that we work overtime on this stuff. I know I always have, and I have always wanted to. I've always been a little bit curious about your choice because you're like, no, tell me everything. I don't want to share. You know?
How do you mean? What do you mean?
Just that your general steez is to be a little historically to be a lot more withholding of your information and your process, you know. But I feel like you've started therapy. You moved into a room with me. I talk constantly. I'm constantly asking you to say things that you're thinking and feeling. I don't know, other stuff. You have distanced yourself physically from people you love enough that to communicate with them is through talking mostly. I feel like you and your other partner did so much like being around each other, and that was like a huge part of your connection with each other, and y'all enjoyed silence together in a really amazing and graceful way that clearly had nothing, you know what I mean? It was like the antithesis maybe of like your connection with me.
It is literally. Totally.
And I feel like now to connect, y'all aren't in the same space, so it is about talking, you know? And so that's an interesting evolution that I've just tangentially been witnessing with y'all. And like, I feel like just in general, you're a lot more open and verbal about what happens inside of you than you were when I met you. But not just saying stuff, like really striving for authenticity and like candor, you know, in the recent moments, whatever. I'm just saying, I think that a lot is changing. I'm not the only one changing. A lot is changing, and it feels to me like it's making more space for everything that's supposed to be. I feel like things have evolved for you in terms of what you want your future to look like recently. So much. We've been talking about so many expansive things, not just like whether or not we fucked up communicating with other people today, you know? And that's, I guess, what I'm a little disappointed about in this moment, and wishing that we had like...
That we didn't start there.
No, that we weren't feeling that way when we started recording.
I don't even know why. Like, I never know what mood we're going to be in when we first get on the mic.
I do.
And
we're always mad.
Totally.
Exactly what mood we're going to be in.
Totally. We're growing and learning together. And it feels really big to me. And emotions go up and down. And the camper can go anywhere, so why not go there?
Right.
Life is short, have fun.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Can we go cuddle now?
Is it kissing time?
Is it cuddling time now?
Yeah, yes. Thanks for recording with me.
I love you too.
Good. Drop it.
Dear Jessamyn is produced by Tenderfire Media. For more on our show, follow us on Spotify and Instagram at Dear Jessamyn, or head over to our website, dearjessamyn.com. If you're an Apple Podcast person, you can subscribe to our show, and while you're there, write us a review. They really help us out a lot, and they give you a place to let folks know how you feel about our show. Here's our team. Kylee C. Roberts is our editor/producer. Angel Foster and Nia Williams do our social media. Janie Leopard draws our art, and Fruit Snack plays our theme song. Montez Mickles is our director of production. Anna Rooney is my chief of staff. Amber Richardson is Ashe's chief of staff. Ashe Danger Phoenix is my co-host and co-producer. And I am Jessamyn Stanley. And we believe that no one should be in jail for weed.
Tender fire.
Drop page.